What this means for the individual Christian will vary according to what they're doing. If they happen to be involved in local government or housing in some form or another, in any way at all, it means a renewed vision. It means having this vision deep in their heart and a profound commitment. And we're calling on all those who are involved in property and development and local government and planning and central government, get the vision for homes and communities, not just houses and streets. What it means to everyone else, I think there's a discipline thing. We need to be disciplined to say that where the church has land, we support the use of that land in the right way, in a biblical way, for building homes and communities. It means reaching out to neighbours and creating community where we are, because many places haven't been built with good community. Well, let's get there and make it happen. We can do that. There are enough of us in enough places that we can transform our country with community.
For individual Christians, housing stability is really important. We need to live somewhere long enough that we can get to know our neighbours, our kids can feel safe and secure and feel like they're established in schools. But we also need to be great neighbours to people who don't know that housing stability. Right across the nation, there are 135,000 children who are homeless. They're living in temporary accommodation. That's really bad for their development and their mental health. And there are ways that we might be able to help. So maybe we are landlords and we've got places that we can rent. Could we make sure those rents are accessible and affordable, but also long term? Or maybe you're in a situation where you might be able to be a foster parent or an adoptive parent, because thousands of children in care need somewhere safe and stable to live, somewhere they can call home.
This means for us as individuals that we need to consider what it is that we do in our lives. How does our faith have legs? A little bit like the climate crisis, no one person can change it, but actually each of us have a responsibility to make a difference in how we're stewarding what we're doing. So as a Christian, how do I love my neighbour? It's not exclusively a Christian thing, but it's our mandate. Jesus said to love God and love our neighbour. So how do I love my neighbour? Not just the person that's on the street or at work, but actually my physical neighbour. What does it look like for me to love the people that live around me? I think we have the challenge of not being NIMBYs. How do we make sure that new developments that are coming along, we're not just the people that put our hands up against it, but we consider what could it be like to welcome those people? What would it look like for us to move into those new developments and be part of those communities and show the love of God there?
I think for individual Christians, this means quite a number of things. Firstly, it means that we should be seeking to build good communities where we are, not just in terms of our human relationships, but in terms of how we create a good environment where we are. So individuals and church groups can be part of picking up litter, keeping parks clean, opening up churchyards, making sure that there are green spaces where people feel safe and welcomed within their community. And then in terms of our individual houses, we can take advantage of government schemes to make sure that insulation and low energy fittings are put in wherever possible. We can promote those. So there's a lot that we can do as individuals to make sure that we're creating houses that are more sustainable in our local communities.
A more intentional awareness of housing issues in the local context serves as a good basis for prayer. And from that, a righteous response can be discerned, whether that concerns being involved in local neighbourhood groups or advocating for fairer housing practices. Finally, there is that human tendency to be with others who are similar to us. This tendency, for a variety of reasons, can lead to segregation, sharp divisions and opposing groups. So on a societal level, there needs to be an understanding that we are all interconnected and that our mutual flourishing ensures that there is quality housing for all.
As individual Christians, This helps us to think of ourselves as whole people, as people who flourish emotionally, mentally, physically, socially, and housing impacts on all of those areas of our lives. This approach to housing and the way it fits it within this broad story of Scripture, I think this actually equips us to think about how we dwell in our individual spaces and places. It equips us in gratefulness, I think, for the spaces that we have, for how they offer us possibilities to live in ways that are meaningful to us, how they offer us potential to develop our gifts and to live out our vocations. And I think that gratefulness should always spur us to action.
In 2020, Pope Francis wrote an encyclical about community and living together. And he warned against communities that become too dominant or people and families that become too individualistic. And he showed the most beautiful and inspiring vision of homes where people are hospitable, where they're welcomed, where they care, where they put themselves out for others, not just those immediately around them, but those who live around them. That is a vision of community that gives a sense of home.